with this very serious topic, so we can help more people. But I've got a powerful team that's leading us tonight, and I get to sit in the passenger seat route. So I'm going to hand it over to the one and only Mr. Preston Hickert.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to get my slides ready to go. And then we will start in on maybe not.
While you're doing that, I'll kind of introduce you and let you get your kind of selves, but Preston is a middle school teacher. And then we have Ruth, who's a high school teacher that'll be presenting. And we have Alexa, who is a student, a sophomore in Arizona. So we have got the power team that are gonna be presenting. So it's kind of the different viewpoints from every which way to kind of have that piece. And it's fun that we've got a dynamic group of educators, students, and then we even got someone from Roblox here, which is amazing. So with that being said, I think Preston's got his screen sharing going.
All right, so tonight we're going to talk about hustle culture and creating digital boundaries to kind of protect your mental health space. Throughout some of our slides, we'll have Alexa and Ruth jumping in so we can team approach this and hopefully you get something out of this. Kind of our roadmap of where we're headed. We'll talk about creating digital boundaries, why there's a need for it. And then Ruth will kind of walk us through a lesson using our I Can Help curriculum. And then we will wrap up with ways that you can get connected with I Can Help and just some more resources to share with you at the end. All right, so big question. Students, teachers, everyone is thinking this right now. Am I doing enough? When we hear this question, it kind of puts some pressure on you to think, am I doing enough? Is what I do from 9 to 5 or whatever your school hours or business hours are, is that enough to help someone or do my job well enough? And that just creates more pressure and more pressure, building up to the stress that we all feel. So stress is a normal feeling, comes from school, after school plan, friends, relationships, money, online presence, social media, politics, the news, your parents, extracurriculars. All of these things are adding to the stress that not only our students are feeling, but sometimes us as adults as well. So thinking about all of these things are causing our kids to feel more stress. So that's why today we're going to talk about how to create some digital boundaries to help our students combat this stress. So thinking about everyone can help, but will they choose to help not only themselves, but their peers, their students, the people that they influence on a daily basis. So hopefully today you will choose to step up and help someone else. All right, so let's talk about how lack of boundaries creates burnout. And I'm going to turn it over to Alexa, who's going to take it from here.
Hi everyone, I'm Alexa. I'm on I Can Help student team, and I'm really excited that you're all here today. Digital boundaries is my favorite things to talk about and a huge part of digital wellness. And we're going to get into what that looks like in a couple of seconds. So if you don't have digital boundaries, and these are really important conversations to have either among your peers, with your students, with your kids, whoever it may be, this can contribute to losing on sleep, drinking lots and lots of coffee, skipping lunch and breaks, way too much screen time, always replying to messages and feeling kind of that anxiety of not being able to reply right away and feeling like you're missing out or aren't you're on contributing where you're supposed to be, or constantly thinking about your to-do list. And what's something interesting about these unhealthy habits that kind of comes from lack of digital boundaries is it all kind of happens gradually until one day you realize that you kind of don't have control of your life anymore and you have to find the starting point. So if we're able to have these conversations early on, hopefully it prevents a lot of these unhealthy habits from developing. And these all habits contribute to chronic stress, social isolation, depression, and anxiety, which all result from the different things such as constantly thinking about your to-do list. It can cause you to get up caught up in that hustle culture mentality. Losing out lots of sleep can cause stress and social isolation, and all those different things contribute to these different side effects that we basically see as a lack of digital boundaries, which can further lead to more mental health issues. So like I said, have these conversations is the best way to get ahead of it. These are a lot of the thoughts that go through your mind kind of when you're in that headspace and when you feel all those things starting to catch up to you, that you just can't do this anymore. I'm so exhausted anymore now. I'm drowning. I know I've been there. I know my roommate's been there. I know my friends have been there. I know Kim's been there. I know our I Can Help team has been there. And these all kind of contribute and are a result from that hustle culture and that go, go, go. So those digital boundaries are put in place to help prevent you from feeling these ways and feel like you have more control over your digital experience. So to avoid these unhealthy habits from continuing to develop, these are some productive hacks. I know for me, I'm someone who's a very type A personality and feels like I need to be go, go, go. So it's hard for me not to be that way. But these hacks are kind of things to, I guess, fill the empty space, if in a sense. So I'm doing something productive, but it's something productive that's for my mental health. So instead of doing a to-do list or working on a school assignment that is due 2 weeks from now, I could be journaling or meditating or making sure I get rest or sleep, which is something that, you know, on social media, we see that it's kind of praised to be go, go, go all the time. Or you see people be like, oh, well, I woke up at 4 a.m. and I'm on my third cup of coffee. Like, you woke up at 10 and you are not having any coffee today. Like, you must not be doing enough, but that's not the case. So you need to figure out how you're going to implement these hacks into your life in order to create a more sustainable and balanced life, because the hustle culture mentality isn't sustainable for long term.
And I think, Alexa, one important thing on this slide is that these are things that this generation of students created.
Yes.
It's not, you know, maybe not something that we had thought about before, but this is something that students today came back and said, these are ways that we can combat this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's been really cool to see how social media has played a role in that. Like, for example, in the idea of journaling and things like that. I mean, you do see the posts on social media that are that hustle culture, but you also see those posts that are like, okay, you don't need to be doing that all the time. And so it's nice to have that balance and be able to curate your social media feed to create a more healthy mindset that's kind of guiding you in that more direction of balance rather than that hustle culture. Because like this slide says, we are feels pressure to live up to unrealistic standards because social media is a highlight reel. And I saw a quote the other day that was saying that, you know, social media is a highlight reel. We get kind of mad about it, but social media was made to be a highlight reel. Like MySpace and Facebook were made to post when you got into a relationship or when you got a promotion on your job. And so, but because posting on social media has become such a constant in our lives, it seems like our entire life should be showcased on social media, and that's not the case. So you can't compare your reality to someone else's highlight reel. So I mentioned this before that I definitely related to that quote saying that, you know, I feel like I'm drowning or I feel like this is all too much. And I know we talked about a little bit in the chat, but even if you could hit your thumbs up or reaction button to raise your hand when you feel like you're drowning, but you're also used to it. So it's okay, but it's also not okay at the same time.
Okay.
How she knows? No idea.
I see a lot of reactions. I know that I definitely been there. And I mean, being a student, I hear it all the time of us being like, you know, I'm stressed, but it's midterm. So, you know, this is what to expect, when really you could try to figure out a more way to balance it out so you don't have to feel that overwhelming stress. And even we are expecting more of our students now more than ever. I'm an early child education major, and I'm actually doing a practicum and placement in a kindergarten classroom right now. And so this slide just goes to show kind of how learning has progressed, and it's really awesome, but it also is a lot of pressure because it feels like you have to continue to live up to these standards that were always in place, and you feel like you have to be bigger and better than the generation that came before you, which is a lot to live up to when you're 5 years old in kindergarten. And you might not even realize at the time, but that's just kind of the pressure that society has put on you. So this is me. This is me in September. a lot of times when we do things like this for I Can Help, I'm part of our student internship team, like I mentioned, and people seem to think that, you know, oh, well, she's doing the intern, she's also a student, and she also has a job. Like, seems like you have all together. Like I said, it is a highlight reel. But this is also my reality where I ended up having an anxiety attack and couldn't go into the event I wanted to go to. And so I was sitting and crying in my car. And actually, I've been struggling more with anxiety my entire life since November. And I've been going to therapy for it and all these different things, which is helpful and kind of still goes along with that. She has it all together because it's like, oh, well, she's getting the help that she needs, but that doesn't minimize the struggles that I face or the struggles that you and your students may face just because they seem like, oh, but they're an A student. They have a 4.0 GPA, but they maybe have that because they're striving for greatness and they are putting all that pressure and stress on themselves, and which eventually builds up to this anxiety, which is basically what happened to me. I just didn't address those stresses early on, and it resulted in physical anxiety attacks. So there's this quote about being a doer, which is kind of what I mentioned earlier. You're not waking up at 4 a.m. and having 3 coffees a day, you're not doing enough. And so we are trying to reframe that mindset of how to be a healthy doer. And I'm working on this even in my own life. And it's really helpful to have teachers and educators who care, but also friends and peers around you who are helping keep you in check. And it's really helpful to curate these conversations by starting that conversation in your classroom. So how to be a healthy doer. We're going to look at some of those different ways where maybe, you know, you don't have to wake up at 4 a.m. and drink 3 coffees a day. So step one is to identify the problem of taking on too much. And like I said, having people in your corner to kind of check you is really helpful. I know going into college, and I'm sure there's a lot of students in your classroom who are involved in leadership and involved, have a job or helping taking care of a younger sibling, whatever it may be. And that is just kind of, they've always been go, go, go. And so it's kind of, they feel like it's expected of them. But that doesn't mean because you've always been that way, you have to always be doing 40 billion different things. You can choose 1 or 2 things to focus on and give your time to that, and then be able to take your time for rest and time for growth. So step one is identifying the problem of taking on too much. Like I said, it's really helpful to have people in your corner. My roommate is the one who called me out. She was like, Alexa, maybe you're having these anxiety attacks because you're doing 8 different things. And I was like, you know, I think there might be something there. So you need to just be able to take a step back and look and evaluate everything you have going on in your life and see if you saw somebody else doing this, like, what would you think of them? Like, you may think they're doing a lot, but you also may be thinking, how are they doing it? And then you should be thinking to yourself, well, how am I doing it? And am I doing it in a healthy way? Step 2 is to find a list of priorities by needs or versus wants. So I may need to do my homework, so I'm going to prioritize that. I may want to get ahead a little bit on my notes, but could I do that in 2 days from now? Yeah, I could. What I probably need and don't even know it is some time to rest or just time to sit and read or go on a walk. And so not only evaluate your needs by what your to-do list says, but what your body and your mind and your heart is telling you are needs in order to fulfill that balanced life that I was talking about. Schedule rest time on your calendar. So I mentioned I'm a very type A person. My Google Calendar is my best friend. And some people think I'm a little bit crazy sometimes for scheduling and rest time, but it helps me know that I have my priorities in line, that I know I'm going to have time to do my schoolwork. I know I'm going to have time to do I Can Help work because it's blocked in my schedule. But because it's blocked in, that means I also know I have time for rest, which helps me not feel guilty for being able to have that rest time. And then practice being kind to yourself. Whether, I mean, it works different for everybody. Whether showing kindness to yourself is going on that walk that you may need, or standing in the mirror and telling yourself positive affirmations. To some people, that may feel corny. For some people, that may work really well. For me, I played Juice by Lizzo to get myself hyped up and feel like I kind of have it back together. So you need to and when you schedule that time for rest and have that balance, you get to know yourself better. And so you find ways that you're able to be kind to yourself in ways that are meaningful to you. And so there's this really interesting concept of like, there is never really balance. And there's a lot of things that we're expected to balance or juggle, whether it's home and family, or even this dreaded term of the new normal and these unprecedented times. That is still a lot, as much as we hate those words, it's still a lot to deal with. And so it's more of a flow of your life rather than finding a balance, because truly you're not going to be able to give everything 110% or have a nice pie chart of energy. Your pie chart may look a little bit bigger on work, or maybe a little bit bigger in school in certain parts of your life. So finding a flow that works for you and makes sense for that time, and that can change week by week as well, but that helps with that feeling of balance. So, like I said, these boundaries kind of help with this hustle culture mentality. And so this is some of the content that we talk a lot about with I Can Help, and digital wellness is one of my favorite topics because I am part of Gen Z. I'm 19 and it's really easy. I mean, I've hit forget on my screen time notification for TikTok 3 times today, but that is a digital boundary that I have set for myself. So using screen time for specific apps, even if I hit to ignore it, it does kind of ring a bell in my mind where I'm like, okay, Alexa, we've hit this 3 times. Maybe we need to check back and go do something else. So screen time specific apps that, you can get kind of trapped in that loop. And then because what happens in those apps, especially if you're not making sure you're curating that app to your experience in a way that's healthy and productive for you, is you get sucked into a hole of comparison and hustle culture. Turning off email notifications after a certain time. I know for me, for my work, I'm a virtual assistant. And after it's so long after my shift, I don't respond to texts or emails until my next time I work, because I just need that separation in my mind where it's no longer my responsibility because I've checked out of work. Only check email during the work week. Again, even having designated times, I have designated times during the week where I check I Can Help, so I know it's going to get done, but it doesn't cause stress for me other times because I know it's not something that's just kind of looming and is I'll get to it whenever. Do not disturb, taking 15 minutes a day of self-care, setting a bedtime alarm for a regular sleep schedule. I know that could be really helpful. I have that set for 11 p.m. to go into sleep mode on my phone, so only certain people can text me and contact me, which has been really helpful for me because I know it's supposed to be the time where I'm winding down and not having my mind be go, 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 but get ready for a restful night of sleep. No screens before bed. I'm still working on that one. And these are just a lot of different tips that you can use with either in your own life or share with your peers or share with your students that could be helpful to them in navigating this digital wellness.
That's great. Thanks, Alexa. I put in the chat, what are some of these boundaries that you practice daily? I see Ruth is hard on number 12 right there. And Alexa mentioned, unfollowing or curating your feed so that when you scroll, it's something positive or something that lifts you up instead of stresses you out or adds more anxiety to your plate. And I'm a big number 2 and number 6 person. Like I said in the chat, everyone that kind of texts me or calls me, they know that after 8 o'clock, you can't get a hold of me. That's when Do Not Disturb comes on. I'll get back to you at 5 o'clock the next morning when I wake up. But everyone knows that about me. That is a boundary that I have set. Thanks, Alexa. So now we're going to kind of transition into kind of a demo. So Ruth is going to take over for a minute, and she's going to kind of show you one piece of our curriculum that we have developed.
Great, thank you, Preston. So Preston's going to be working the slideshow for me. So hi, I'm Ruth. I wrote in the beginning, I'm a high school U.S. history teacher in Southern California. I'm kind of North Los Angeles County. I'm the senior class advisor, and I also have an I Can Help club that has been slowly getting off the ground over the last 2 years. So this is a lesson that we had access to at some point over the last 2 years. And I've done it both the last 2 years with my club and with my students. With my club last year when we were virtual, I did one of these each week. We were meeting weekly. And so I did one of these each week for the kids. This year for my students and for my club kids at a club meeting, I did the entire lesson. So I split it up both ways. So a lot of these are things we already know as adults, but it's really good to be reminded of these. So create an emotional first aid kit. So next slide, please. So the first thing is sound. And I know a lot of kids already have these, but I talked to them about it to have that playlist. Sometimes they have the pump up song. Sometimes we have maybe nighttime or mellow music. And so it's good to have different playlists for different feelings that you want. I was saying I teach US history, and I have been teaching civil rights and was teaching the 60s the last couple of weeks. And I realized kind of at the end of one of the days, I just felt just kind of down and mellow and not in a good place. And I realized, well, I'd been listening to a lot of 60s protest music all day long. And it kind of put me in not that, it wasn't my 80s rock. So music really does affect us, whether we know it or not. So I encourage the kids to have, different playlists for kind of the different feelings, but to be aware of that. Next one. So sights. What are images that make us smile and create that library? Today with technology, I've always been a picture person, way before it was so accessible on our phones. I always had the kid who always had collages. I was always the one taking pictures, picture albums, just the whole thing. So phones and pictures and all that together has been like my dream. But again, it's nice to have some of those pictures accessible, that you can look to, whether it's a lock screen or just a separate album. I'm a huge Shutterfly person, and so I can a lot of times just go to my Shutterfly and maybe look back at select pictures or events. And so again, encouraging my students or adults or whoever just to have some of those pictures accessible that are gonna bring that smile to your face. Okay, next one. So touch, this isn't one that's, for me, I have a little harder time with it. I don't seem to relate to this one as much, or I don't think that I do. So again, kind of the what items that bring you comfort, hoodie, sweatshirt, necklace, soft blankets, soft animals, a pet. So again, keeping something maybe near to you. I know weighted blankets have been a big thing over the last couple of years. As well, but I think this is one that definitely I've seen some students carrying things with them that give them that feeling of touch. So it doesn't need to be something big. It could be something that you put in your pocket, even just to remind you of that. To give you that warm and fuzzy feeling. It makes me think back to, this ages me, but maybe the rabbit's foot. Some of maybe the older people on this remember, we had it for good luck, but it felt good to hold it in your hand. So back in the 80s. So touch. Next one. Smells. I know Kim is a smell person. We all have our smells. I definitely am ones that make us happy. There's different ones again for different moods. Oh, Katie, I just saw your comment about the rabbit foot. Thank you. I'm glad I wasn't alone in this one. I know for me, eucalyptus, for me, that's like the spa smell. And I've never been a big smell person, or the essential oils. I always tease my best friend who's into it, and she'll come over and she brings me her voodoo oils, as we both joke about. But the especially having to wear the masks at work, for me, I was spraying the inside of my mask with eucalyptus, and what a difference that made when I had to go back to school, because it was calming, but at the same time, it's a spa scent to me. So it did give me that relaxation. And so now I have some Scentsy eucalyptus that I will spray in my classroom. And some of my friends know, oh, okay, she needs calming down today if she's spraying her eucalyptus versus, different seasons. So I am different smells, and they evoke different feelings in us, right? Sometimes cinnamon or vanilla. It can be, holiday time, and, kind of ocean, breeze, summer. So just different things like that. So again, something that could be a very easy thing to add into your life to help you. I know for some people, peppermint is supposed to be a calming relaxation. Or, for some people, it's also the holiday scent. So another one of those that can evoke different feelings. Okay, next one. I'm trying not to get caught up in the chat, but I'm loving some of the comments that are there. Oh, bacon and coffee. Yeah, that's weekends right there. Okay, so who are people? Who are humans who make you feel better, right? And you may not always have that human with you. Obviously, I can't carry Kim around with me, but a text from a person, sending a text, saving a text, a picture, putting it in that library, maybe a song, evokes those emotions of feel good. So again, I see students who, going back to pictures, and with the humans, they're 3-ring binders, and they put pictures right there in their 3-ring binders. I've seen that over the last 5 years or so. So again, but knowing who your people are, who can you count on, who can you go to, and again, different humans, different people for different things, and it's okay to not have maybe one person for everything. Sometimes we're lucky and we get that, but sometimes okay, I need my work wife to help me with my work stuff. I have my husband to with some stuff. I have my best friend to help me with other things. But to know who those people are, who you can count on, who you can go to, when you need to talk about something, or even share the good things and celebrate. It doesn't always have to be a bad thing that you have these humans. It can also be to celebrate the positive things, and that people who can give you the, add a girl or add a boy. Next one, thanks. So here's the take action that I encourage the kids to do. And again, just, depending on who you're doing this lesson with, and what way, let them think about it. Maybe taking on all of them is too much. Tell them, try one. Or, one of the things, like I said last year during distance learning, was we did one a week, because I felt like giving them all at one time was just going to be too much. And then different things to help them with some of this, working out, drawing, journaling, cleaning, cooking. Again, a lot of these things that we all know, but as adults, but to share with the kids, or to even remind them of some of this stuff, but to do things that are making you feel good, to get you into that positive place for yourself and for the people around you. Sorry, next one. So I kind of like this slide because it just has it all nice and concise. And again, sometimes it is just having that list. If you can't get to, listen to your sounds and your sights to pay on time, you have a little list that you remind yourself, your favorite, Bruce Springsteen, that's my man. I can't play him all the time, but I've got the poster of him up in my classroom, same with different sites, I've got the pictures up. So again, just ways to help clear your head. But this, these are an easy lesson that either you can do it with faculty, with adults, you can do this with students in your own classes, or this is even something, like I said, how to get my Bruce reference in. You can have the kids, I had my club kids, my officers, do this lesson with the other club kids. So it's one of those lessons that you can do a lot of different things with, depending on the students that you have. And who you're doing this lesson with. Oops. I
Right.
put that one in there twice.
Thank you, Ruth. Does anybody have a question about that lesson that Ruth just went over, or any thoughts they want to share in the chat? Alexa, I see your comment about Spotify would be a fun idea to make a collaborative playlist where everyone can add their favorite hype songs. Yeah, I've seen that a lot with classrooms or teachers getting requests for songs to play like during work time. So we could all have our sounds that bring us ease as we work. Yeah. All right. So the next thing we kind of want to touch on right before we kind of wrap up for the evening is just kind of centering on I Can Help and our programs. So we have trained over 470,000 students to use Digital for Good through presentations, through classroom lessons like the one you saw. And we have impacted over 12.5 million students to date. So we kind of focus on these three areas of engaging, educating, and leading. So we engage with social media events, webinars just like this, educate through our curriculum and our courses and our trainings, and then leading, developing those leaders of tomorrow with our interns and specialists, our student volunteers, adult volunteers, and then our mentors that we connect with kind of in the tech space, the professional space, to connect with our students. So with our I Can Help curriculum, each lesson is designed to take about 15 minutes. With every lesson, there's that objective, the materials you need, and then a description. When you look through the curriculum, the slides are there for you, along with discussion notes, questions to process, and then kind of a challenge that you can challenge students with at the end. It covers a wide range of skills and topics, from goal setting to self-management, like the one you see on the screen, to more of those reflection pieces about social media and digital footprint and stuff like that. Developing better digital citizens, but also developing just better human citizens at the same time. Of course, we have some I Can Help swag to give yourself a reminder to make yourself a priority. This is one of those swag items that are available. If you need that visible reminder to put on in the morning to make yourself a priority. This is also a really awesome color of shirt, and I believe it is a soft style tee because we know that Kim is a fan of those soft style t-shirts. And then some other ways that you can stay connected. Alexa, do you want to touch on kind of the I Can Help social media?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a really awesome social media team. So there was that little breakdown earlier about the different parts of I Can Help. And one of our sections is with all of our student interns. And so our Instagram feed is completely done by students and in collaboration with students. And so we're able to make content that is really relevant and important to students who are part of Gen Z. So this was one of the posts that we recently did about Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. So we have a different couple of posts here about safe online dating tips, tips to help your teen who wants to start online dating. And then I think if we click, there's a couple more that went along with this series. Dating red flags and things to look out for, because this is the world that we live in and it's kind of unavoidable for your students to engage in some sort of online dating. So it is helpful to face these conversations head on rather than trying to avoid them. And then going along with that as well, some do's and don'ts for online dating. And again, going along with the theme of Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month back in February. And then this is just more examples of the content we have on our I Can Help social media page. Our Instagram, these are all our Instagram posts, is at I Can Help Official. So making SMART goals, and there's a couple different examples here of instead of having it in kind of a negative frame, have more of a growth mindset and using those SMART goals to reframe your thinking so you're not kind of in that hustle culture. And it's more kind of a productive thought process and thinking about your New Year's resolutions and things. I think this was based in January. And then one more, we talk a lot about kind of what we did here today, digital boundaries, risks of social media or things that you can get caught up in on social media and kind of how to avoid them. I mean, here I Can Help, we talk a lot about the power of social media. So we don't necessarily want to say that all social media is bad. Social media definitely has a place in our society, and it's really unavoidable. So it's just about how we use it safely rather than how to avoid it altogether.
And then here are just some other ways that students can get more involved with I Can Help and kind of becoming the leaders of tomorrow, the humans of tomorrow. So every year we host our Digital for Good Summit. On the screen, you see kind of some of the people that have been recognized in the past for using digital for good. You see people who've created apps, students who've created apps. There's one that allows people to find and rate accessible places to meet needs for mobility, vision, hearing, and cognitive impairments. You also have people who have created teenager therapy, Instagram and podcast, the Not Okay app, digital panic button, among several other examples. Just kind of putting examples in front of students to say, here are what people your age have done, and maybe sparking an idea of ways that they can get involved and step up and say that they will help their community. We also host student webinars. So, you know, every month, every couple weeks, we have different student webinars. We also have student voice webinars where students are sharing, you know, their stories, their ideas, their ways that they are taking action in their community. We also have I Can Help Club starter kits. So this is kind of the frame that Ruth mentioned, that she shares some of our I Can Help curriculum. So on our website, you can get the starter kit to help you get that up and running in your community. And then we believe strongly in students being part of the solution. So on our website, there are ways for students to get volunteer information, to just volunteer. There are opportunities for them to apply to be an intern and get more information about that, just to bring students into thinking about how are we going to solve the problems that we're facing? How are we going to be part of that solution to step up and answer the call of, will you be the one to help? And lastly, we'll charge you with this question: what will you do today? Everyone can help. The question is, will you decide to help? There's a QR code on the screen to get some more information. And one last, you know, you could just help out by saying that you're going to share something that we shared tonight. And that is how I'm going to help after this. So with that, are there questions or anything that you would like us to touch on or go back to before we leave you this evening? You can put it in the chat or unmute or tell us however you want to get your question across to us. I see that Kim and Alexa have been filling the chat with some links for more information to things. I believe a follow-up after this, Kim will send out a follow-up with a replay.